and JJ.
Hit it!
It's time for The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome in. The new drug today is 53 ball players. The Jags have cut to 53. It was released earlier today.
Fine-looking team.
Fine-looking squad. I like our squad, Charlie. I like them. They're coming together.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple youngsters in there. I think really have a chance.
The Jags, there's no drama today. Sometimes we get on the air late in the afternoon. There's some drama. The Jags released it. I would say this. I don't think there was much drama with this cut this year. But you know what I enjoy? And the beauty of football is not just Jags, it's everywhere. We have so much fun grinding on the 53. Everyone's got a 53, and they're good. They're good. But the ones that the controversy, this isn't a Jaguar thing. It's a 32-team league-wide thing. But the ones that all the talk shows will talk about today will have very little bearing on the football team.
Without a doubt.
That's the fun. I mean, very little
It's
bearing.
a fun day. It's an overrated day.
Yeah, it is.
In terms of the NFL calendar.
Right.
Because, you get to like week 4, and I can't remember ever having a conversation about, well, why didn't they keep this guy when they cut it to 53? Like, it doesn't tend to have ripple effects that carry on into the regular season, because obviously once you get into the regular season, it's really who your top 25, 30 guys are, not who your bottom, 23 guys are.
I can't believe they kept Monteric Brown over Christian Braswell. It doesn't last very long.
Correct.
Doesn't have a major effect on
the winner
team.
of that battle is probably headed towards being a healthy scratch on game day.
But it is a fun day. So we'll go through our 53, and I love the 53. I agree with you. It's a good roster. We'll talk about that today on the program. That'll be certainly a lot of fun. We'll talk about that. We'll go around the league a little bit. There are some surprises around the league that the other teams cut. Try to trade the whole bit, all that. So we'll get to that coming up. Florida, Miami this week. Ooh.
Big one.
Ooh. Have you been to a Florida Miami game, JG? You've been to some, right? Back in the day?
I've been to like 3, yeah.
Oh, you have? So which ones? Which ones you go to?
2002 when we beat the brakes off y'all.
Yeah, coming off the national
in the
title.
swamp. I went to the most recent one in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then I think there was one with Tebow where we got smashed.
You like 2-1, 1-2?
We're 2-1 when I've been there.
You're 2-1. Okay, so there you go.
You mean 1 and 2? You won the Zook game and then
the
lost
Orlando
the last
game.
2.
Yeah, we did lose that.
So you won it.
That was a terrible game by all. Yes.
You won. Hey, listen.
Most memorable was Leon making national TV, and he became a meme because he was on the sideline with a big cigar in his mouth.
Right. So you're
classic.
You won it. How many have you been to? Florida Miami games.
It's interesting. I'm pulling up the rivalry now to see if one escapes me. So I definitely covered the first game JJ is referring to when Florida got absolutely mauled. That was number 1 Miami versus number 6 Florida.
Yeah, Florida started.
And it was 41-16, and I'm telling you, wasn't that close.
Yeah.
No.
Miami.
Florida was ranked 6th in Zook's first year.
Was ranked 6th in the country September 7th of 2002.
All right.
I also covered the Sugar Bowl in 01. So in 01, Miami beat Florida. That was number 2 Miami beating number 7 Florida 37-20.
Right.
And I covered that game. So I covered a Sugar Bowl, covered the Zook route, and then I don't know that I've...
Oh, I actually went to 4 because I think there was a Driscoll game in Miami, right? And they beat Driscoll. So I'm 2-2.
Was Driscoll?
Well, Miami won 21-16
in
2013.
That would have been the one.
So that probably would have been the one you're talking about. And so I think that's it. I don't think I think I've only covered 2 Miami Florida games, and Miami won both. And as a fan, this will be the first time that I'm seeing it as a fan.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you never had before.
I don't think I've ever gone to Florida Miami as a fan. Not that I can think, because they didn't play from 87 to 01.
Right.
So they didn't play basically from the time I was 12 years old until I was, out of, out of college.
Right.
So, I sort of missed, the window where I would have been going a ton. And so I don't think I've ever seen Florida. If I have, I can't remember it. So I don't think I have. But I can't wait to be in the swamp on Saturday. It is going to be electric. I mean, that building 10 minutes before a kick like this, it'll be great throughout the game too. But just the energy in the building, right? And the teams are coming out on the field. I mean that it is someday. To me, I'm a rube and I understand that. But for me, as a human on this planet, there are few things that I love more than about the 10-minute end mark being at the Swamp for a game like this.
I agree. I'm the same way. By the way, I've been to 9 of them. I'm only 3-6. I'm 3-6 against the Canes.
Well, Miami leads the series 29-27.
Okay.
And I would imagine, I haven't gone and looked, but I would imagine Florida was pretty, well, I was going to say I would think Florida was pretty dominant early, and really looking at it, they won 3 of the first 4. Played in 1938 to 1941.
Right. And I wasn't that. Hey, smartass, I wasn't at those.
Right.
Please continue.
Florida did win 4 of 6, or excuse me, 6 of 8 from 57 through 64. Florida had a run from 71 through 77 where they won 7 straight games.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, since then, since really Miami got good. Starting in 1978, you look at this it's a lot of Miami on this, not a ton of Florida.
And I'm going to go through later on the ones I've been to, the best ones, my favorite ones.
How many have you had?
3-6.
You said 3 and 6.
So I've been to 9. I'm 3-6. So
I like that this one is a home and home. Like most of them are super random. The one in Orlando or like a random one in Gainesville.
Right, because you had they played every year when you were at Florida.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. But I didn't go. I didn't see the. I was only there. I was at Florida 3 years. I was gone. I wasn't at the 80 game. I didn't see. I was in Johnstown, Pennsylvania for that one. The 70, I had to see the 79 was in Miami, right?
79 was in Miami. Miami 30, Florida 24.
In the 78 game, I think I went to that.
That was Miami 22, Florida 21.
Yeah, I think I went to that one. So yes, some of the best. So
it's interesting too because the whole Florida wanted out of the rivalry, so they stopped playing. But I didn't realize that they played every year from 1938 until 1987.
Right.
That's remarkable. I didn't realize that they had that long of a history together playing every year until Florida was like, we've had enough fun.
So yeah, we've had enough. So we'll talk about that coming up. But let's start with the 53, Hays. Surprises for you, surprises for me. I don't think there was a lot of shock in it. But as you look at the Jaguars roster of 53 players, what surprised you today that you might not have expected?
I would say Miles Cole getting the nod and DJ Coleman not being on the 53. Obviously, Miles Cole is a draft pick, even though he was 7th rounder. But I was surprised Coleman didn't have a place at the table. Braswell was a surprise to me, but I think what hurt Braswell is that Jarian Jones never really was able to compete on the outside. So you don't really need 3 nickels.
Right.
So you have Savage, you have Jarian Jones, and so I think that pushed Braswell out. I think if Jarian Jones had been able to have a better camp and push Darby, then maybe there would have been a spot for Braswell. But I still was surprised that Braswell didn't make it because I thought he had a nice camp. And even though the depth chart was, quote, etched in sand, end quote, by Ryan Nielsen, it's like you're going to, a guy that is listed as your starting nickel doesn't make your 53. That's kind of unusual to see something like that. So that was a surprise. But that was really it. I mean, for me, it was more, I really like the depth of the offensive line. I understand I am going to be in a very small minority here, but I do think it was smart that they kept Luke Fortner to develop for another year. So I didn't have any problem with that at all. And yeah, so I thought offensively there wasn't a lot of mystery. They made the right move going ahead and releasing Tyler Shatley. If he's not going to be a starter, there's no use in having him on the 53. You need to develop your younger guys there. So obviously they could always call Tyler Shatley back. I doubt he's going to sign anywhere else. So if you get in a pinch down the road, you just tell him, hey, stay ready, and we may be calling you back. But for the here and now, I'm glad that they went younger there. So I like it. I mean, we talked about it was going to be a difficult cut. I think this reflected it. But I think the 53 that they've built is a really quality 53 for what the Jaguars are used to giving us.
Yeah, I do too. I like the 53. A couple things. I did not think Braswell would be cut, so I was surprised by that one. DJ Coleman, I thought had a chance to make the team late, but I will tell you, they really liked what Miles Cole gave them. They are very high on him now, so he certainly came on late. But so those two, that's the only two that really surprised me. There were some interesting ones. Blake Hance is a good player. Blake Hance they guaranteed him money, and there's a chance he'll wind up with some teams. I can tell you there were some discussions between teams and the Jags on a possible deal for Blake Hance, and it just didn't pan out. They would love to have him back on the practice squad, so he's probably the best player they cut. The other good player they cut was Elijah Cooks, but your sixth receiver's got to be a special teams player, and Tim Jones is a significantly better special teams player. He just is a better player, and so if your sixth receiver's playing, you're in trouble anyway. If he's playing receiver, and remember now, Tim Jones really matters more now because now there's kick returns. For the longest time, now there's kick returns. There's kick returns and kick coverage. So your core four, punt coverage, or punt return, punt coverage, kick return. He's good on all four. Now all four are in play. That didn't help Elijah Cooks either. So those are the two stories. Elijah Cooks or Tim Jones over Elijah Cooks. Cole Van Lannon had the best camp of his life, and that's why he beat out Blake Hance. And they just couldn't move on from Javon Foster, who might be good. They just drafted him in the fourth round. You got to give him a chance. And I agree with you on Fortner. They're fine with Fortner. If they're wrong about Fortner, decide that in a year or two. Don't cut him today. So I'm with you on that. Defensively, the Miles Cole over DJ Coleman a little bit. I just think they had a lot of cornerbacks. They had a lot of guys in that secondary. But no real surprises.
I was glad they kept Ledbetter.
Yeah,
I like him. He's stout.
Well, and he's the one guy that is built like and plays like Hamilton. He's right. He's the one guy that plays like 52. And if you got to have another guy kind of like that. And Jordan Jefferson will be like that. But he's ready to play today. Now I have to learn how to pronounce his name. But Otowo?
Otomowo. Say that again.
Otomowo.
Yeah. You'll work with me and break on that one.
He's had a good camp.
But yeah, I mean, he was deserving to make the 53. I mean, he made plays, and again, might be headed towards being inactive more weeks than not. But still, he's here, and he can continue to develop, and I can continue now to learn how to pronounce his name.
Yes, you can. But I like what they did. I don't think there's a whole lot of surprises. We'll talk a little bit as we go along about how good we think their football team is. So we'll talk some Jaguar football today. We'll talk college football at the bottom of the hour. Our Woolsey Morecambe National College Football reporter is Dennis Dodd, our buddy from CBS Sports. That'll be certainly good. We'll talk about that. We'll talk some history of Florida and Miami. By the way, and this makes me really happy, we'll talk more about this as the show moves along as well. Did you see who they're honoring 40 years later?
Oh, yeah.
Probably my favorite team.
Really? Oh, that's
probably cool. My favorite Florida team. Certainly, maybe the mid-'90s Spurrier teams were up there, but right after that, I'm still not. And I've said this before. I'm still not sure the '94 team wasn't as good as any of them.
Now, the '84 team.
The '84 team. Yeah. I'm still not sure the '84 team wasn't as good as any of them.
It's interesting that they picked this game to honor them.
Yeah.
Because that team lost to Miami.
Yeah.
Is that weird to you at all?
No.
They didn't pick another week to bring him back?
I hadn't even thought about that. But I'm just telling you, I didn't even see what week it was. I just saw that they're honoring him.
I think it's Saturday.
Okay, I thought it was like Kentucky or something.
Oh, is it? Oh, I could be wrong.
I thought it was the Kentucky game.
I thought it was this Saturday.
But the bottom line is,
I saw Javon Curse is going to be Mr. Two-Bit, so that's cool.
I think they're honoring him. But my point is, I thought it was the Kentucky game. But either way,
I could be wrong. The Kentucky game.
It's Kentucky game.
Yeah.
It is Kentucky.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and Kentucky's the game.
And that makes the most sense.
They beat to win the SEC. Right. But I'm just telling you that team. I'm going to talk more about it later on in the program. That team was so good. Mm-hmm. That team was so good.
The Great Wall.
One of the best teams I ever saw play. NFL players all throughout that roster. So we'll talk about that coming up. But let's take a break. Let's talk some Jaguar football. We come back. The 53 is set. How good is the roster? That's our topic. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. one-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hays Carlyon for MyBookie. Embrace the start of football season with MyBookie because it's time to get in on the action before these lines start to move. Take advantage of their live betting, especially if a heavy favorite gets off to a slow start. If you haven't signed up, go to mybookie.ag and register for a free account. Use promo code 1010XL to grab a welcome bonus up to $1,000. Let's take a look at some updated MyBookie lines. The Gators are a 2.5-point underdog in the Swamp against the Canes. The over-under is 54.5 points. FSU is a 17-point favorite against visiting Boston College with an over-under of 50.5. The Jaguars, a 3.5-point underdog at the Dolphins. The over-under is 49 points. There are a ton of cool prop bets as well. Sign up with that promo code 1010XL to claim your deposit bonus. Again, it's a bonus up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Mia here, get it all when you shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That's over 600 vehicles, and they're all in one location. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18,000. Plus, you get Arlington's 60-day exchange program and financing help from their Credit for Everyone program. Shop online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harrell & Harrell. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harrell & Harrell. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
This is Frank Frangie. Join Dan Hickett and me for All Things Gators, our podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Monday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gators podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
These are the last days for Monahan Jewelers store-wide 50 to 60% off sale. These are the biggest savings we could possibly offer with everything on display, discounted 50 to 60% off, ending Saturday, August 31st. We bought so much brand new jewelry that we need to make room for it. And the only way to do that is to give you huge deals at 50 to 60% off everything. And the sale ends Saturday, August 31st. Diamond jewelry, colored gemstones, gold chains, everything. Everything on display is 50 to 60% off at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Tuesday.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Nimnick Tuesday on The Frangie Show. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941.
All right, Dennis Dodd comes up in a minute. Before he does, though, I'll tell you this about the Jaguar 53. Some final thoughts on that. We've been talking about it on the radio station all day today. It is a team I'm very confident in. I love the quarterback room. I love the running backs room. I really do. I like the receivers room. There's 5 deep. I don't think Tim Jones will help much as a receiver. I like the tight end room. The offensive line's interesting, Hayes. They have 3 good tackles in Cam Robinson, Anton Harrison, and Walker Little. Nobody would debate that. The question becomes, how good are they in the interior? You know by now, if you pay attention, you know Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, and Brandon Sheriff are going to start. The Cooper Hodges is the right guard of the future, I think most people believe. Does that happen this year? Does it not? Is Luke Fortner the center of the future after a few years with Mitch Morse? But that's really one of the biggest questions of the football team is, did they do enough to rebuild or to improve their offensive front, particularly the interior?
And we won't know that until we get basically to the end of September. I mean, you got to give it a few weeks, good or bad, to see until they have gone up against a few different NFL fronts. I think the Cleveland game in week 2 will give us a clearer picture because I think the Browns are pretty nasty. But but we'll see. I think what they've done here, look at the individual pieces. Ezra Cleveland, I just don't think we have a picture of what he is as a Jaguar. He came over at the deadline. He was injured already when he arrived. He was then asked to do multiple things. And he got, it just, to me, it was hard to judge Ezra Cleveland. I think he's going to be good for what they want to do. But again, this is where you have to keep in mind, what kind of an offensive line do they want? They don't want 5 road graders that can't move. They want athletic linemen. Well, when you want athletic linemen, you are going to give away girth. And that's the trade, for right or wrong, that's the trade they've been willing to make because they prioritize having linemen that are athletic and can move. And Ezra Cleveland can certainly do that. Mitch Morse, I think, is going to be fine. I mean, I would, if Mitch Morse is healthy, as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he should be a dramatic upgrade over Luke Fortner. I wouldn't have brought Sheriff back, but they elected to. He's had a great career. Hopefully there's one more good year left in there because I don't think he's had one yet as a Jaguar. So that's a big question mark. If it doesn't work, can Cooper Hodges step in and play well? I mean, to me, that's a gamble, but maybe he can. I think it's the weakness of the team, the interior offensive line. But every team in this league has a weakness. Every one of them. And for what the Jaguars have built, I think that their weakness, I think, is not nearly as much of a chasm as some of the other good clubs that have a weakness that where I think they're going to need. They're looking at a really tough putt to produce an adequate result there. I don't think the Jaguars' offensive line, I won't be surprised if they're adequate.
Right.
I'll be surprised if they're great, but I wouldn't be surprised if by week 8 or week 9 we're sitting here saying, hey, you know what? They've been pretty good. They're certainly not an albatross around this offense's neck.
The questions about the team will be the offensive front, and I think it'll be okay, and the secondary. Those are the two questions. Ronald Darby's new. He's a veteran guy, but he's not young. Darnell Savage is having to play nickel when he's been a safety most of his career. Antonio Johnson's a first-time starter. So you got a first-time starter at free safety or strong safety, whatever they call that position, one of the safeties. They've got a safety having to play nickel in Darnell Savage, and they got a veteran guy but not a young guy in Darby. Those will be the two questions. I don't think anybody doubts their defensive front. I think the defensive front's going to be pretty good. And it is interesting that when the Jags released their 53, they list Eric Armstead as an end. If you look at, they list their 4 defensive ends, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead, and Miles Cole. Now, that doesn't mean he can't play inside. That doesn't mean he can't even start the game inside, but that's what they listed when they listed their roster. But I think you're going to see him outside a bunch. I think you're going to see him all over the place. I'll be very interested to see what the rotation is like at tackle if he's mostly an end. Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson-Harris, and Hayes, if they can get this guy Mason Smith ready, that's the thing. He might be better than all of them if they can get him ready. I really believe that.
Mason Smith, I think, is a big key and a big X factor because if he can produce like I think he can, and if he's ready to do that now, not in year 2, because I don't think it's a question of will Mason Smith be good as a Jaguar. It's early, but I feel very confident in saying that is going to be a good pick for them. It's just a question of, is it going to be a good pick for them immediately? Are you going to see that translate now? Or are you going to have to wait until maybe further in this year or maybe next year? But I think he could be productive now. I would not be surprised if he affects Tua in the opener. So, I think Mason Smith is somebody, when you're talking about this team going from above average to great, Mason Smith's one of those X factors that could make that happen.
All right, we'll talk far more about the NFL and about the Jaguars coming up. Let's swing it to college football. Fire it up, JJ.
Time now for the College Football Insider, brought to you by the law firm of Woolsey Moorcoat on The Frangie Show.
All right, Frank Frangie, Hays Carlyon, welcome in my pal Dennis Dodd to the program from CBS Sports. Dennis, how are you, man?
Frankie, I'm good. How are you?
We are fantastic. Ready for college football, bro, as I know you are and we always are. And let's not bury the lead. Were you as shocked as folks around here that Georgia Tech beat FSU? What'd you make of that ball game, man?
Yeah, you know what? I had picked Georgia Tech with the points, and I think a lot of people did. The number went down from 11.5 to 10. And I thought with Haynes King's running and the way their offense was pretty good last year, that they could keep it close. But to do that, no, I did not pick them beating Florida State, so it raises more questions about Florida State than obviously it does about Georgia Tech right now.
Hey, Dennis, it's Hays Carlyon. Great to talk with you again. Yep. So what do you make of Florida State? Does this loss affect how you view them?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about DJ, and this, comparatively speaking, he was number 3 quarterback in whatever that was, I think 2020 class. The guys in front of them, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, are second or third year?
Second year in the NFL. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he kind of he said exactly, this is not the way I wanted it to work out. I didn't think it would work out this way. He's happy at Florida State, but look, third school in 5 years. He's got to prove to himself and others and the NFL that he can be that difference maker. I didn't see that in that game, but look, I'm not going to put the game on him. I thought Florida State, I was told, they had the best defensive line in the country. That didn't happen. They had a somewhat comfortable lead on Georgia Tech and let them come back. So, yeah, I mean, all that being said, Florida State goes into that bucket with everybody who loses this weekend. It ain't over because there's 12 teams in the playoff. You don't have to necessarily win your league to get in, and you can quote unquote afford games like that.
Dennis Dodd with us from CBS Sports. Let me ask you this: how much of that game, and we talked about this on the air, Dennis, on Monday, For me, the portal's great. Everybody loves the portal, and FSU's mind the portal probably better than anybody. But that was in a Georgia Tech team. Haynes King and all those offensive linemen were together last year. And FSU had all these new guys that will be very good, but they hadn't played, and they had never played together. Was that part of that? Did you feel like the chemistry on the Georgia Tech lines, at least, was way different than FSU's?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said still. You know, we're 3 years and change into the NIL era. The portal started in 2018. I agree with your premise because, to me, no one has figured out, not one coach has figured out definitively that, you know, how the portal works, how the portal can benefit them. Deion's tried, didn't work out last year. They got better. They weren't great. Lane has done it at Ole Miss. Okay, we'll see this year. It's kind of playoff or bust for them. But there isn't a blueprint. You know, there's an urge to go all in or to take the top 6 guys, which Ohio State thinks they did. But there's no formula there. And so when you bring in 18 guys, I think it was 18 at Florida State, you have to ask those questions. You know, is it too many to assemble and get chemistry in the locker room, enough reps for everybody to get in there? And the reason I picked the number was I had been to Dublin with Notre Dame and Navy in 2012. That ain't a neutral site game. You are completely, distracted. It's another country. Yeah. You know, it's almost like, we have to play this game too. And so somebody was going to be affected by it, and it was Florida State.
In terms of Gators Canes on Saturday, give us an early thought. Well, how do you think that game will go?
Well, I don't want to sound crass, but I think it's kind of a loser leave town match. Mm-hmm. More so for Billy. Mm-hmm. Mario's not going to get fired. He's got 80 million reasons why he's not going to get fired. But it's a bad start to year 3 if they lose. I think the upside for Florida is incredible because I don't know many people are giving them much of a chance, at least nationally. And if they go in there, or if they beat Miami at home at the Swamp and get off to a good start like that, the other side of this, incredible schedule, maybe the toughest schedule of all time, is if Billy goes 7-5, he ought to get an extension.
Right.
And this would be a good start to it. I'm looking out my office window at Graham Mertz's house. I know the family. He lives right over here in suburban Kansas City in Canton. I hope for his sake that he does well. But I think this is a great chance for Billy. I think for his sake, has to win it more than Mario, but a loss is going to be somewhat crippling for both schools.
Dennis, here, because we're in the vacuum, we're right outside of Gainesville, as you know. Yeah. So here, the theory is, well, they've got a pretty good team, but they're not going to be able to hold up against that schedule, and they're going to win 5 or 6. He's going to get fired. That's the consensus here. What about nationally? When you're around, you're all over. Is that kind of the consensus that a good team but too tough a schedule?
It is. That it's progress is being made, but there is the schedule, and I mean it when I say the toughest ever. I talked to Dave Brown, the schedule maker, who used to work at ESPN, and that's all he does now. He just does schedules for teams. And this was 2 years ago when he was looking ahead. He said something like, "Boy, this is one of the toughest schedules I've ever seen." And then go into the fact that they admitted Texas and Oklahoma.
Right.
That makes it even harder. They don't play either of those teams, but in other words, SEC teams are going to be playing randomly Texas instead of Vanderbilt one year. Texas on the schedule instead of Vanderbilt. Won't be filled in with somebody else. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, I had them at 4-8 when I went over the schedule. I think 6-6 would be great. But if they get on a roll, I mean, I can squint and see 7 wins there. I mean, for Billy's sake, I hope so.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Can Clemson give Georgia a test at all?
It's going to be, I guess, yeah. I mean, look, yes is the answer. They can give them a test, but I think the key to this game is this is a referendum again on Dabo and the portal. He's the guy who said our portal's in the locker room. You're going to face the best team in the country right off the bat. Your team is competing against its own standards. Still great, but they're slipping, and we know that. They compete for championships. They're not doing that anymore. National championships. It doesn't look like it. So, yeah, I think this is a referendum on Dabo. Dabo's not going to be in the hot seat, but there's going to be a lot of guys and girls that write that column off that game. That you see, I told you so column. Now, that could be anybody against Georgia on Saturday. They're that good. I think they're going to win the championship. I think they're going to go through 3 games in the playoffs and win the whole thing. But to play this game in the beginning of the season against Georgia and put yourself out there like he has, and he's been, I don't know if the word is stubborn, not to use the portal, is going to be something.
Dennis Dodd with us from CBS Sports. Hey, our buddy Brett McMurphy thinks Texas is going to run into a buzzsaw when they get into the SEC. They've not seen anything like it. What do you think? Texas is one of the best teams in the country, but they don't get Kansas State and Iowa State after beating Oklahoma these days.
Right, that's right.
What's going to happen?
Well, they wanted this. I mean, their AD, Chris Del Conte, wanted this. He basically said out loud, we don't sell a lot of seats when Iowa State and Kansas State come to town in the Big 12. They don't want to play in Ames, Iowa in the middle of November in snow Florida. Okay, here's the big time. What are you going to do? There's 2 discussions here in terms of Texas and Oklahoma. To me, there's right now, and Texas is absolutely prepared more than Oklahoma to compete in the SEC. I think they'll be in the championship game against Georgia, although the injuries at running back are significant. The other thing is, this is a forever decision. Like, to say Texas is like going to get run off the road or dominate, or Oklahoma is going to do that, this is going to be for the rest of football's around until we go to the Super League or something like that. So Oklahoma can get better. I think they're a little shallow in the offensive line. I know they're shallow in the offensive line because they had a bunch of guys leave. They break in a new quarterback. Texas might have the best player in the country, and Quinn Ewers is on the Heisman list. So I don't think this year, maybe Brett's talking about long term, but not this year. I think they're going to compete highly. Who do you like in USC LSU? How do you think that game goes? God, that's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. You've got Nussmeier, who I think is, after Jaden Daniels, anybody who replaced him was going to be a step down. But I think he's really effective. I think he's really going to be good. He's not going to run for 1,000 yards and set all these records. But I think they're going to be okay offensively. I think the pressure and the onus is on USC and Lincoln Riley's third year. Which way is this thing headed? You had Caleb Williams. Okay, he won the Heisman. Didn't win a championship either year. And now you're going into the Big Ten, and you're talking openly about trying to get an easier schedule. I mean, he talked about that openly at the Big Ten media days, to the point that he hinted they may give up the Notre Dame series. And I think it was Brett that wrote the story that for 2 years Lincoln Riley tried to get out of this game. So he's got something to prove. A guy with a 10-year, $100 million contract has something to prove. I'd like to be in that situation. But they're going to have to do something defensively. Got a new defensive coordinator, Danson Lind, from across the road, across the highway at UCLA. I think they're going to be better defensively, and maybe they just have to be average to compete in the Big Ten. But yeah, this is kind of a pick-em to me. I'm not sure. I have to sit down and think about this one. Dennis, final thing. Where are we headed now? Is UConn going to the Big 12, or is FSU and Clemson getting out? Are they not getting out? I know that's a mouthful in one question, but where do you think this thing's headed? All of it. The Big 12 thing is kind of up in the air. Their commissioner, Brett Yormark, desperately wants to get UConn in. And if people don't know, they would come in 26, basketball only, and then be given, 7 years to get better in football and come in football in 2031. The unique thing is, for that, this would be the first time in the realignment era, at least in Power 5, that a basketball program had carried a school into another major conference. And that's what would have happened. I mean, UConn football is a non-factor. They hope it's a factor in 2031, where this private equity firm they're talking to has already said, you're going to double your value. We'll see what happens. But right now, I don't know if Brett Yormark has the votes. I wrote a story yesterday saying, I know for sure in canvassing the conference, he's got 6 yes votes for UConn, 2 no votes, and I was being very charitable, very conservative with the 2. But all it takes is 5 schools to vote against, and they don't have it. And if they don't have it, this thing won't come to a vote, because you don't put it to a vote if you're going to lose. Crazy. So right now, it looks like there's a lot of pushback from people in the league who aren't buying UConn, saying, we're already the best basketball conference. Why do we need to schlep our teams up to Connecticut is hard to get to anyway to play football. It does nothing for our strength of schedule at all. So I think he faced the long road.
It'll be interesting to see. Where are you going this weekend? What game?
Home this week, and then getting ready for Texas and Michigan.
Ooh, pretty good one. That's right.
Yeah.
CBS stole that or SEC or ESPN stole that SEC from CBS. I don't like it, Dennis. I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the games are still on TV. That's all I care about. We meaning CBS.
Right.
We have the Big Ten every Saturday in that 3:30 window, so it's still good.
Pretty good stuff. Dennis, great to catch up with you. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank.
Take care, man. Dennis Dodd, my buddy from CBS Sports, does a fantastic job. He really does. Great to catch up with him every time we're at Media Days, and he does a great job talking college football. Back in a moment. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Hi, I'm Frank Frangie, and I've depended on South State for my banking needs as long as they've been serving Duval. Whether you're saving for retirement, purchasing a home, starting a business, your goals are their commitment. With forward-thinking, personalized banking solutions and best-in-class service, South State is ready to help you navigate your financial journey. Connect at southstatebank.com or drop by any of the 5 local South State offices. South State Bank, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to bring your friends out and enjoy our spectacular golf course, which is carved out of some of the highest elevations in North Florida. Hidden Hills Golf Club, unlike any other. Check us out, hiddenhillsgc.com.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do, what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 2854-LAW. 2854-LAW. For Malcolm Anthony.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, an asphalt marketer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Sheldon Fish. Today's category, air conditioner repair experts in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, I bet it's going to be Bueller.
Your question. Unlike Jacksonville, the Sahara Desert has a complete lack of air conditioner repair experts. What kind of camels do they ride?
That's not really a question about air conditioner repair.
5 seconds.
But that's a camel question.
Pick a camel, Sheldon.
Arabian dromedary.
That's right, Sheldon. Like the majestic Arabian dromedary, the skilled technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing can repair any make and model of air conditioner the same day you call, making sure you are cool.
They don't spit, do they?
No, but Steve, the new guy, has a bit of a hump.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Celebrate a new season.
Don't hold nothing back.
1010XL's college kickoff coverage is brought to you by Jenkins Genesis of Northeast Florida and Island Oaks RV Park.
Do not start celebrating too early.
On 1010XL.
Rejoice!
Jags fans, a new Everbank Performance account could be your ticket to London this October. Through the Everbank London Getaway, one lucky winner and a guest will receive round-trip airfare, hotel accommodations, and a pair of tickets to see the Jags play in London. To learn more and for official rules, visit everbank.com/London. No person necessary to enter or win. Open legal residence in 50 United States and D.C. 18 or older. Entry period for the Everbank London Getaway Suites is from 8/5/24 to 9/5/24. To enter and for official rules, alternate method of entry, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/London. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Legendary Jaguars running back Fred Taylor spoke to the drill yesterday morning to talk about his excitement for Week 1 with Dan and Jeff and what he preferred for a season opener in his playing days.
It's a great feeling, to run out of the tunnel, man. You got the smoke, you got the fans, you got the flyover. But also, I want to say that, even if you have to go on the road, football, it's in the air. The grass smells different. So, you love it no matter what. But it's nothing like opening in front of your home crowd.
The Jags open up their season on the road in Miami, but kick off their first game in the bank Week 2 when the Cleveland Browns come to town. I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Nimnick Tuesday on The Frangie Show. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941.
Man, I appreciate my friends at the Nimnick Family Dealerships. Nimnick Chevrolet's on Cassett Park. Nimnick Buick GMC's over here on Phillips Highway. Been buying my cars there since 1982. It's a long time to buy cars from one place. Billy Nimnick Jr., God rest his soul, showed me how to buy a car and taught me how, and I bought it from him. And I've been buying it from his family ever since. My buddy Billy Nimnick III, Lee Nimnick, those wonderful people. They do a great job. I'm telling you, if you want an automobile, I think you know by now the name in this town is Nimnick, and I'm proud to be a spokesman for my friends at the Nimnick Family Dealership. Nimnick Chevrolet on Cassett, Nimnick Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke meeting with the media now. We've got to listen in on some of that during the break. Nothing of note, I don't think. To your point, Hays, 21 linemen. You can never have enough big guys. You said it earlier in this program, and I think Doug and Trent said it at the presser. Also, special teams really matter. Caleb Johnson and Tim Jones are really good special teams players, and that's why they're on the team. So no real surprises from the head honchos today, I don't think.
No, not at all. And again, I think it's a good roster. We'll continue I think they're still going, so we'll keep you up to date with anything newsworthy. But I think that they should feel good about the 53 that they've constructed. I don't think they really need to do a ton in terms of the waiver claims. I really wouldn't be surprised if they didn't put a claim in on anyone, but I would really be surprised if they get anybody off of waivers. They may try and claim somebody who they just are stunned got cut, but my guess is if they're stunned, there'll be somebody, one of those 16 clubs ahead of them, that'll claim the player too. So I think this is the 53. I don't think this is going to be one of those.
Agreed.
You have to wait 24 hours and then 3 more Jaguars show up and 3 more leave. And the only thing that I think could still be coming is once they get beyond the opener, could they make a move for a veteran free agent that is yet to sign with the team? And the reason that it would be after Week 1 is so that contract is not fully guaranteed. And if that veteran doesn't work out, you can release him and not owe him the full contract. So that's really now the only real acquisition that I think is probably coming. My guess is that they're always going to say they like their 53. My guess is Balky and Peterson really, really like this 53.
I agree with you, Hays. They're not there. He said they're not done yet, and you're never done. I agree with you about waiting a week so you don't have to guarantee the dollars. The other thing I think is this. There's positions they're not going to address, no matter who comes available. They're not going to address quarterback. They're not going to address running back. They're not going to address wide receiver. They're not going to address linebacker. Those, I think they're set where they are. Could they add an offensive lineman if someone comes available? Maybe, but I don't think so. Maybe an edge guy because that's a situational, that's a sub position. Maybe an edge, maybe a defensive back. But that's about it. The rooms where I could see them addressing, I could see an edge, I could see a DB, and possibly an offensive lineman, although I think they're pretty set with their 5. I think they know who their 5 are, and they want their 5 to start. So I think they're pretty set with who their 5 are.
Yeah, I agree. And again, in looking at it, I just don't see anyone that has been released that I think is an upgrade for them. Now, again, they may feel differently, but I think this 53 is the 53 that'll go to I mean, again, barring an injury or something. But you know, I think this will be the 53 that they take to Miami, and I think it sets up well. So you know, you're going to play the opener, and then from there you'll evaluate. And if you feel like you need more on the edge, then maybe you go and pursue that. But I think they should feel good about the 53 that they have. They've got a lot of young talent. You want to keep developing them. Ownership has made that clear that, you know, we're from a salary cap standpoint, you're now giving out these huge contracts, which is great. And you should give out those huge contracts to your guys that you've drafted and developed, Trevor Lawrence and Josh Hines-Allen and Tyson Campbell. Like, that's all wonderful. But it does come at a cost, which is you're not going to be able to be bailed out by free agency anymore. You're going to need to draft and develop your guys. And again, obviously, most of these guys aren't going to work out. We know that. We know how the NFL works in terms of their young depth guys on this 53, guys, you know, 35 through 53 on this thing. The majority of those guys are not going to work out, but some will. And again, we talked about it. They're in a very good position moving forward. They have 10 draft picks in the upcoming draft. You know, that is going to be a lot of players coming in on cheap rookie contracts. That is how you try to sustain this thing. In a system where it's almost impossible to sustain any kind of winning for any length of time, this is the kind of stuff you have to do. And so I really like the 53. I mean, I think it gives them a good foundation. Just not just now in the present, but also into the future.
We'll take a break, talk Gators and Canes. When we return for hour 2, it's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
The home of the home team you grew up with.
Jimmy Smith was given a chance with an expansion team.
And what a quality person as well, a leader of this football team.
Jaguars pride forever. 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Hey, school's in session, and here's today's lesson. We have hundreds of new vehicles. Camrys starting at $329 a month. RAV4s for $349 a month. Tundras as low as $499 a month. And they all come with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. That means you and your soon-to-be drivers will be protected for the next 20 years. Plus, every purchase will help fund a teacher's project in our schools. Your next assignment, get to Beaver Toyota St. Augustine. Deadline August 31st. We're here to wow you and our teachers.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Now, any good lineup needs power. When I needed a power connection for our new Walk-Off Charities baseball park, I found the perfect partner in Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys, I'm telling you. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. So call my buddy Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960, and you can find them on Facebook as well. You will trust them. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 320-5960.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harrell & Harrell. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harrell & Harrell make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
There's something special about football under the Friday night lights.
Clear eyes, full hearts.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Friday Night Lights.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
Duck Duck Rooter is hiring plumbers, CDL drivers, septic system installers, and helpers. We offer excellent pay and a full benefits package. Apply at duckduckrooter.com or call for details. 904-862-6769.
Equal opportunity employer. Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. One of the biggest changes we've seen in fine jewelry over the last 25 years has been the growth of jewelry designers. At Underwoods, we're the leader, bringing to North Florida the best names in designer jewelry. In fact, we carry designer lines in a similar way to how clothing stores carry designer labels. The difference is that jewelry designers have to be a little more timeless in their presentations because nobody wants to buy a fine piece of jewelry only to find out the next year it's gone out of style. That's why you'll find at Underwoods the best of the jewelry designer names, those that are tried and true and popular. Names like David Yerman, Roberto Coin, John Hardy, Marco Bichigo, Jude Francis, Lagos, Hippolyta, and a lot more are all available right now at Underwoods. So if you want the best looks in designer jewelry, stop by Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, or the shops upon Avedra.
Jeff Lagerman here. Now that football season is here, make sure your ride can get to that tailgate or away game safely and dependably. You can trust the ASE certified professionals at any of the 27 independently owned Napa Auto Care Centers and the quality Napa parts they use. Napa Auto Care Centers can handle everything: oil changes, air conditioning, brakes, engines, transmissions, and more. Napa Auto Care offers a nationwide 24-month, 24,000-mile peace-of-mind warranty on those repairs. Find a Napa Auto Care Center near you. JacksNapaAutoCareGroup.com.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
At Hodges Mazda, we are proud of our solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. Lauren Brooks here. As your hometown Mazda dealer, our high customer service standards and our huge inventory of new and used cars provide our customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first. Plus, every vehicle purchase comes with 2 years free maintenance. What Mazda moves you? Find out. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com to discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect beer for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
I'm Max Fink here with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are preparing to face the Norfolk Tides as they kick off another 6-game series in 1-1 Financial Ballpark. Darren McMahon, who has a 5-3 record as a starter for the Shrimp this season, will be on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 7:05. Despite the heartbreaking 24-21 loss to Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland this Saturday, Coach Mike Norvell believes quarterback DJ Uiagalelei should use this loss as an opportunity to learn and improve for the remainder of the season.
There's a couple drives in the third quarter. There was some opportunities that we're going to be able to grow from, but at the end of the day, we need more. We have to be more explosive.
It's 86 degrees at 5:03. Time and Temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Nimnicht Tuesday on The Frangie Show. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941.
Great American-made cars. Nimnicht Chevrolet is on Cassett Avenue. Been buying my cars there forever. 1982 is when I started. Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. You want a car dealer, you want Nimnicht. I'll tell you that. Ooh, the Gators and Canes. The games that stand out to me. 1981 in Miami. In the South, you say Miami. 1981, Danny Miller kicked a 55-yard field goal. You have the scores pulled up, by the way?
Yeah, 21-20.
To make it 21-20. Gators came back. Brian Clark from 59 to win it.
Wow.
Just short. Brian's my buddy. That one stood out to me. 1982 was I think that was the James Jones one-handed catch falling into the end zone. Gators winning in Gainesville.
That was a Florida 17-14 win. 16th ranked Gators over 15th ranked Canes.
He wasn't in, by the way. If there had been review, it wouldn't have been a touchdown.
Oh.
He caught it falling backwards with one hand at about the half-yard line, but the Gators win it. 1983, that was the Gators 28-3, I believe.
That's right.
Gators win it, JJ. Miami goes on to win the rest of them, win the national title. You know that?
I did.
Yeah. So, what I still remember about that is Wilbur Marshall hitting Bernie Kosar so hard he knocked him into the goalpost.
Wow.
All Bernie did is come back and win the rest of them, win the national title. But I remember the game. I remember the game clearly.
Yeah.
The next year, 1984, is one of the best games of all time. Played in Tampa. Miami won it 32-20, I think.
That's right.
And then
10 over 17.
Florida, what's that?
Miami was 10, Florida was 17.
And then Florida went on to be really good. That's my favorite team of all time. The 84 team tied the next game, Rutgers, I think, and then won them all. They were really good. 1985 went down.
Actually, I think they tied LSU in 84.
Tied LSU, that's what it was.
And then they tied Rutgers in 85.
They tied it, and then won the rest of them. 85 went down there with Kerwin Bell. Kerwin Bell threw 4 touchdowns in that game, 35-23 maybe.
That's right.
And won.
That was number 5 Florida over unranked Miami.
And Florida was loaded that year. Those stand out to me. Which was the Melvin Bratton Jarvis Williams game? 86-87?
See, that's when Miami goes on a big run because the Canes won 86-87, and then they stopped playing. But then they won 01, 02, 03, 04. So I would think, Miami, third-ranked Miami beat 13th ranked Florida 23-15 in Gainesville in 1986.
Okay, that was the year that Jarvis Williams really drilled Melvin Bratton. The next year, I think, is the year Florida had 2 safeties. They
did 31-4 Miami.
2 safeties, and you know what they were? Miami's deep snapper snapped it over the punter's head twice.
Wow,
that's the only points Florida got. Willis Pegues was his name, by the way. He snapped 2 balls over the head of the punter, and that's Florida's only points in the game.
How about that?
So great.
Right around the same time, the Safety Dance was a popular song in the clubs.
And I can tell you, and the 84 team that's going to be honored before the Kentucky game. What an amazing team. I mean, here's what I can tell you about that team. The fullback was first-round draft pick John L. Williams.
From Palaca.
The tailback was first-round draft pick Neil Anderson, except for the fact that he alternated with first-round draft pick Lorenzo Hampton.
It's amazing.
Did you know the 83 team, you probably didn't know this, JJ, the 83 Florida team had 4 running backs that went in the first round?
What? That just shows how the game's changed.
Yeah, 4 first-round running backs.
You might not have 4 first-round running backs in 4 seasons, in college football.
That's 100% correct. And so they had 4 on one team, and then they had 3 on the 84 team.
It was the 4th.
James Jones, but he was gone the year before. And then the 4 the next year, It was Williams, Anderson, and Hampton.
That's very like early 2000s Hurricane-esque.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they were that good.
Portis, McGahee, James Jones.
I'm not sure
and,
anybody was as good as the 01 Hurricanes, but they were like that though. They were similar. So yeah, those were great. So great memories. Florida, Miami. I used to love it. I said this many times. When Florida and Miami would open the season, FSU and Miami would play in the middle of the season, and Florida FSU would play at the end of the season. Now Florida's point was, we can't keep doing that. You can't keep playing both of them and then playing the SEC schedule. And I got it. So for people that don't know, Florida had dropped Miami, as Hays said, because they're tired of getting their butt kicked while they dropped them. That's the reality.
Right.
Spurrier got the job. And when he got the job, he said, we've got to play Miami. He said, I'm tired of not playing them. We should play them every year. Do you remember this? He said at his press conference, we should play them every year. And they were going to play them. And then the SEC expanded, went to divisions, went to 2 extra teams, went to eight conference games from 7.
An SEC title game.
An SEC title game. And then
Spurrier expected to always be in.
So they had to go back and drop them.
Right.
So they were going to pick them back up and drop them. But I love it. I love Florida.
He did get to play them in the Sugar Bowl.
He
didn't have a very good record against those Canes, that's for sure.
But he really wanted to play them.
Did he only play them once? I guess it was
that
only one time.
Yeah.
One time, yeah.
And that was Miami got really screwed out of going to the BCS title that year.
I agree with that.
If we had the playoff, Miami would have won the title that year. Because, again, that was 37-20, and it wasn't that close.
It was not that close. It really wasn't. So, no. But I tell you, what I would have loved to have seen is if Florida didn't mess it up and lose to Tennessee, I would have loved to have seen them play in 01. Now, look, Miami had one of the greatest teams of all time. Might not have beat them.
Would have done better than Nebraska.
But they'd have been a hell of a game now.
Yeah.
It'd have been one hell of a game because Florida had the other great. That's still one of the best Florida teams of all time. So this year, so they play this year. I was thinking a lot about this. We all by now we all know the storylines now. Both have struggled under these great recruiting coaches. Both coaches on a hot seat of sorts. Florida's seat is hotter in large part because they've got the brutal schedule. But both teams have been not quite as good as you thought they'd be under these great recruiting coaches. Everyone knows that story. The game's in Gainesville. I think advantage Florida because, A, it's in Gainesville, and they've got a quarterback that's been in their system. Cam Ward's new to the system. I think Florida's going to win. I'll tell you, we're going to do our picks, but we begin our picks contest on Friday.
Oh, wow.
We're going to do our picks with picture back.
Friday, okay.
Yeah, picture back. So we'll do our picks.
I'll get in the lab tonight.
Yeah,
I've got to give the team a pep talk.
Yes, you do. But I can tell you right now, there's no mystery for me. I think Florida's going to win that game. JJ, do you still think Florida's going to win the game?
Yeah, I've been picking them for like 4 months. I might as well just stick with it.
You want to hold out on your pick, or you want to go?
I might get a game picker-upper on the
Canes.
It sounds like if we're still doing that, I don't know. The competition committee will still have to give us the memo.
Yeah, we've had to
on what we're doing.
Well, we rebuilt the roster, and when you rebuilt the roster, sometimes the rules change. So we'll start that this week. And that'll be a lot of fun, as it always is. But you know all the storylines. Here's the other thing and I told Hicken this today, and I said it on our program, I'll say it again. The teams that win have this swagger, this confidence. You're half beat when you play them. Nobody knows that better than Miami. Miami, through all those eras, late 80s all the way to 2001, other than that one little stretch, they were that team, and the other team was kind of half beat before the game started. Florida had that under Spurrier and under Urban. Bowden had that FSU had that certainly under Bowden and even a little bit under Jimbo. That when Florida would show up under Spurrier and they'd play Kentucky, the game was pretty much over when it started because Kentucky knew they were beat, or Vanderbilt. When Miami showed up against Iowa or Boston College or Rutgers, whoever, the game was over. But when you lose that, it's hard to get it back. Georgia has it now. Ohio State kind of has it now.
We thought Florida State might have but
we weren't quite sure if they had it. See, remember we said
they didn't do themselves any favors on Saturday with the mystique part.
Correct. And we thought maybe Florida State had that back, and you weren't sure. They needed one more good year to seize it. And now it doesn't look like they have it. We'll say it's only been one game, but it doesn't feel like they're going to have that part. So back to this game. Whichever team wins this game is going to grab a semblance of that. That doesn't mean they're all of a sudden think they're going to go wallop Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, but they will walk off that field, okay.
I think particularly if it's Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami dancing on the logo, a post-game big win.
You look at the rest of the schedule.
They will have found this great quarterback.
If Miami is able to win in the Swamp in the opener with a quarterback that they've never played a game with before, it will, to me, say wonders about Mario Cristobal and his staff, and it will say amazing things about Miami's mental toughness.
I agree.
And so I think if Miami is able to go in there and survive that again, Utah went in there 2 years ago. Now, could have easily won, but they didn't.
Right.
Went on to get to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
And so, I mean, it is a difficult assignment for Miami. Florida, I think if Florida wins, there'll be a little bit for me of, well, did they win because of the swamp magic? And that's where, but if Miami wins, it's easier for me to come to the verdict of Miami's really good.
Yeah. I 100% agree with what you said with one caveat, because I think you're dead on. But one caveat. Because it's gone so badly for Florida. If it had been an 8 or 9 win Florida team all these years, and then they win, well, they're winning because of the swamp. But because it's been so badly, most people don't think they're going to win, even though it's in the swamp. That's just reality. So if they win this game, they've been telling everybody we're better than you think. They've been everybody that'll listen.
There's a big ESPN story today on Napier by Andrea Adelson, and that's sort of what Napier says throughout.
Graham Mertz looked mainly. I was sitting as close to Graham Mertz as I am to you, 5 feet away, and I said, in Dallas, Texas, and I said, Graham, there's been some doubters outside. There's some doubters outside the program, and before I could finish the question, he looked at me and he goes, but not inside. And he looked at me, and I'm telling you, that's the one time, he's a funny guy, and he had a great personality. But Hays, that's the one time he wasn't laughing. He wasn't smiling. He looked at me and said, and he kind of pointed a little bit. He said, not inside. And I could see. So whether they're right or not, a lot of people feel that way. But back to my point.
Yeah.
If they win the game, if that really is real, if that's really how they feel, and they win this, I don't care how they win it, and they win this game, then here comes Samford. Here comes a Texas A&M team that I don't think is nearly as good as people think. They're ranked 20th. We'll see. Now are you 3-0 when you go to Mississippi State? Then you do have that swagger. Then you show up at Starkville, and then you're home against UCF. So that's how important this game is to them. We know how important it is. Miami is going to run the table maybe if they win the damn game. But if Florida wins that game, hey, then they have that. It's been a long time since they had that, man. Did the 20 team have it? Maybe.
I never felt
I didn't either. I didn't either. But
you have to be competent defensively to carry.
That's correct. Yeah, because badasses play defense.
Right.
No matter how fun and exciting your offenses are, there's some exceptions. Derrick Henry's a badass, but for the most part, the badasses play defense. And that's a great point. So that's so big for the psyche of who they are.
I think so too. And another element of this game, and JJ, I'm going to ask you in a second. This is what I would say. Both records haven't been great. Napier's 11-14, but he does have 2 signature wins. They both came at home, but he has beaten Utah and Tennessee. I get Cristobal hasn't played the same schedule, and maybe there's a very obvious one, JJ.
It's A&M, but I mean, at the end of the year, A&M fell off bad. But
so his signature win is
it was
A&M.
Like week 1 or week 2.
It was early.
They were like a top 10 or 15,
and it was at home, right, in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like that to me would probably be his biggest win without looking. Yeah. But there's certainly not one that sticks out to me. That's
so
like,
that's a big element for Miami.
Yeah.
Like Cristobal's record is better because he doesn't play in nearly as hard a league.
Right.
But Napier at least can say, well, look, I've got 2 statement wins.
Right.
They're both at home, granted.
Right.
But I beat a team that went to the Rose Bowl, and I beat a Tennessee team that has one of the better offenses in the nation. So that's another element why I think it's really big for Miami, because Cristobal, this would be obviously his biggest win.
Right.
Whereas I don't know
by far
would say that for. Would you say this is Napier's biggest win if he gets it?
Yes. To start the season, they're doubting you. You're on the hot seat. Beat Miami.
But forgetting the intangibles of that, I don't know that it would be. There's a rivalry component to it, but. It could be, but I think you could make the argument, no, Utah was better, or maybe even Tennessee was better than this. And obviously we'll see what Miami is. But with Miami, I don't think there's any doubt that winning at Florida would be a bigger win than holding serve at home against a Texas A&M squad that ultimately ended up disintegrating.
Right. Yeah, interesting stuff. We'll take a break. Hays' headlines are on the other side. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
From the first play ball to the final, your home for play-by-play is 1010XL.
Do the gargle wiggle,
Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it. Best price, we can wiggle it. Best trade value, we can wiggle it. Best payment, we can wiggle it. Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, with 8 American brands, we can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or online at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Garber Wiggle, Garber Wiggle, Wiggle Wiggle, Garber Wiggle.
This is Josh Woolsey with Woolsey Morecambe. Woolsey Morecambe is your MVP in the legal game. Our team of skilled attorneys tackle personal injury cases with compassion and expertise. With fumbles like a car or truck accident, we're here to seek the compensation you deserve. Right here in Jacksonville, we've successfully won over $100 million and earned a championship-worthy record. When it's game time, you want a team that plays to win. Contact Woolsey Morecambe at 1-800-WOOLSEY. Offices, Jacksonville.
When you're shopping for insurance, you might say, "What?
Huh? I'm so over this."
But what you really need to say is something that could actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When you get a local State Farm agent, they can help make it easy and help you choose the coverage you need. Plus, they're available online, over the phone, or even in person.
I'm so into this.
Call State Farm agent Joe McGee in Jacksonville at 389-3592.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
David Ammon here with Zero Res. So Ammon, your mom mentioned it's been a year since we did a complete house cleaning. The kitchen tile and living room floors are looking pretty dingy. It's time to call Zero Res.
That's right. Most folks know that Zero Res does an amazing job at cleaning their carpets and rugs, but they don't know that Zero Res can clean their tile and grout, LVP, and wood floors.
And right now, Zero Res is offering 25% off all hard floor cleaning. Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Oh my goodness.
Fishing is more fun when you catch something.
Yeah!
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin.
Woo-hoo!
Brought to you by Veterans Wholesale Cabinets and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Certainly facing challenging economic times. I can't speak for all of us, but for me, comforting to know my money is in good hands with ITP Partners. Ticket here for ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. I'll admit it, I don't understand a ton about the economy, higher interest rates, 401ks, but I do know as I move closer to retirement, I continue to watch my money grow. Thanks to Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, and Reed Wingate. Get in the game, guys. ITP Partners, always there to help. For more info, Chris at ITPPartners.com or call 904-312-9751.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon for MyBookie. Oh, Gators, Canes, Georgia, Clemson, LSU, USC, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and of course, Jaguars, Dolphins. It is here, and are you ready for the ultimate football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and Casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed. Just click my link, sign up, and you're ready to rock. When you bet with MyBookie, you're not just watching the games, you're investing in every moment of action. I'll say it from experience, a few bucks on the line can turn any regular game into one of the most exciting of the season, because you don't have to bet very much. Don't forget to use promo code 1010XL when signing up to claim a $1,000 bonus on your first deposit. Again, promo code 1010XL. Get that bonus. Don't let that pass you by. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Life has its share of challenges, and when it puts you to the test, make sure you reach out to Rebound Rehabilitation to give you the quickest path back to full health and confidence. Rebound Rehab, specializing in helping patients overcome back pain and sciatica, arthritis, and fibromyalgia, just to name a few. Rebound Rehab, locations covering the entire First Coast, getting you back in control with a pain-free life. Sports injury, workplace injury, whatever it might be, you can rebound. Log on to reboundrehab.com for more info.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round. It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
Yes, hopefully you won't need them, but if you do, give them a call at 251-1111. Holt, Julie, Renee, great people at Harrell & Harrell. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. We've got Frank Frangie, JJ LaSelva, and I'm Hays Carlyon. Frank, let's get right into it. We have a 53-man roster, 24 on offense, 26 on defense, and the 3 specialists, 10 on the offensive line and 11 on the defensive line. Let's go.
Yeah, they're long, physical, athletic, big. They got bigger this year. We all said that. They got bigger in the draft. They got bigger in free agency. They got bigger and longer. And they stayed that way by the guys they kept, Hays. They drafted Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson and Miles Cole and Javon Foster and kept all 4 of them. They signed Eric Armstead in free agency. The long, big, physical Mitch Morse in free agency. The amount of 6'5" and 6'6" guys that they brought in either through free agency or through the draft, an enormous number, and they kept all those guys. So the bigger, more physical, more athletic. I think that was the theme of the offseason, and it was the theme of the cuts today as well.
Absolutely. Some notable cuts for you. Tyler Shatley, Christian Braswell, Elijah Cooks, Blake Hance, and DJ Coleman.
Yeah, of those guys, those are the notable ones. Tyler Shatley's been a wonderful Jaguar. That one did not surprise me. The others, Blake Hance, I had a hunch that Cole Van Lanen had beaten him out. I think Blake Hance is the odd man out because Van Lanen was so good in this camp. Braswell and Coleman, I thought actually were going to be on the team. So those are the 2 that probably surprised me a little bit today. But again, I think the emergence of Miles Cole made DJ Coleman expendable, and they have a lot of young defensive backs. I mean, they really do have a lot of guys. He's Monteric Brown and you start looking at the young guys, Trey Prince. There's a lot of Jarian Jones. There's a lot of young cornerbacks on that team.
Obviously, a very busy day in the NFL. We'll start in Houston, where the Texans release former Jaguars first-round cornerback C.J. Henderson. The former Gator was selected with the 9th overall pick by Jacksonville in 2020, arguably the worst pick in franchise history. They traded him to Carolina. The Panthers quickly figured out he wasn't going to work. Goes to Houston, doesn't work there. Might be the end of the road as a pro player for C.J. Henderson.
I got to tell you this. I read a lot of people saying he might be the worst pick in franchise history. I'd like that to be the case. But if I'm looking back over 30 years, unfortunately, he's got competition.
Yeah, he does.
He's got great. I mean, he probably is.
Probably is because he went top 10.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of competition for that.
Yeah.
He wasn't good at Florida.
No, that was a terrible pick.
I mean, I remember thinking at the time, what year was that?
2020. It was the same draft that they took Caleb on Chase.
Yeah, well, that's right. He was.
And then Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, and
it was an abomination.
Boy, it really was. But I remember, I can still remember, I've told this story before. We do a draft show. Loggeman, Baselli, and I do a draft show every year. It's on the network, right? And when it was C.J. Henderson, when it was Taven Bryan, a little bit with Dante Fowler. Anytime it's a Florida guy, they look at me. They go, because they know I watch every play of every Florida game, which I do. And I told them on all those guys, I'll never forget, he's not really very good. And Taven Bryan, he's not really very good. And they go, Well, every time we ask you about one of these Florida guys, you tell us they're not very good. Well, it's because they weren't.
Right.
I mean, they weren't very good at Florida. I said, and C.J. Henderson, I never thought was very good at Florida.
No. And we will continue with more Gator disappointment as the Chiefs have released receiver Kadarius Toney.
Who, by the way, was very good at Florida.
Was very good at Florida.
Yeah.
And that one is a little bit of a surprise, I mean, from a football player standpoint, but you always heard off the field stuff with Toney, and it just doesn't seem like he's ever really been able to find his footing as a pro. Obviously, he was a first-round pick of the Giants. Urban Meyer famously said if he'd been here, it'd been on the board, we'd have taken him over ETN. Obviously didn't work out in New York. He goes to Kansas City, doesn't work out there. So Kadarius Toney on the street.
Who turned out to be better pro, he or ETN? I mean,
right. That was that's still up for debate.
Wonder who's better there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to stay with former Jaguars because this one really upsets me. Just in how his career has played out. So the Saints released former Jaguar running back James Robinson today. He's still just 26, and he ran for over 1,800 yards with 18 total touchdowns in his first 2 years as a Jaguar after being signed as an undrafted free agent. But boy, his body just fell apart on him.
Here's the James Robinson story. Fantastic kid. Fantastic work ethic. Fantastic heart and soul and care. He had awful knees. It was knees. I think that the injury that was promoted was a hammy or something or an ankle, but both knees. Even when he got into the league, Hays, it was a tough go. The scouts all knew. That's why he didn't get drafted. It's not that he wasn't a good player. He's a wonderful football player if those knees had held up.
Absolutely. Miami receiver Odell Beckham Jr. will miss the first 4 games as the Dolphins are keeping him on PUP. Again, big news for the Jaguars. I don't think that Beckham is a star anymore, but still, he probably was going to be their third guy. So obviously they'll have Tyreek Hill and they'll have Jalen Waddle, but that Week 1 matchup covering the third receiver probably just got easier for the Jaguars.
Boy, did it ever. And look, those two are a handful by themselves. And if Tua has time, he can complete them. We'll talk more about this next week when we're previewing the game. But let's not kid ourselves. Getting to Tua will determine whether the Jags win or lose that game.
Absolutely. In college football, I give Florida State a lot of credit. They released their cinematic recap from their loss to Georgia Tech over the weekend. It's about a 9.5-minute long video, kind of takes you behind the scenes. But the best part of the video is the final minute where Mike Norvell addresses the team in the post-game locker room, and JJ's got that for us.
Told you at the beginning of it. Game come down to one play. That is this game. But in the moment of truth, well, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to abandon fundamentals. It's easy to not communicate, not get the call. It's easy for those things to show up. And then you get to look back, and it's opportunity for regret. Everybody knows we're better than what we just put out there on that field. And that all comes down to me. So that's my fault. And I'm going to do a better job in preparing you. I'm going to do a better job in continuing to push the standard. I'm going to do a better job of trying to put you guys in position to go play with speed and confidence. Be who you say you want to be. Don't let an awful result change what this football team's all about. Because if you respond to it, you'll be able to point back and say, man, that was an experience. But our result took us to where a lot of people didn't believe we could go. But we got to go be that. Does everybody understand me on that? Yes, sir.
I really enjoyed hearing that. And,
me too.
And again, I think, Mike, when a coach says it was my fault, get ready, Florida State players. You're getting ready to have a really, really tough week of practice to get ready for BC on Monday night.
Yeah, you're right. And good for them for listen, if in the world of recruiting, I want every recruit to hear that. Accountable, firm, but not grandstanding. I want every. If I'm a recruiting specialist, I tell the FSU PR people, get that out there, which is what they did.
No doubt about it. Billy Napier was the subject of hot seat talk at ESPN today. Andrea Adelson did a feature on the embattled Gators coach, while he was also tops on Pete Thamel's hot seat list in the SEC. So, Frank, I'm just going to ask you, Billy Napier, is he still Florida's coach a year from now?
Yes, I think he is. I think he's going to be the coach a year from now. Perhaps by the skin of his teeth, but I will tell you this, and I know you know this, in the worst way, they don't want to fire him. For all the reasons. He's the right guy. He's a good guy. Players like him. They trust him. You don't want to start over again. You don't want to start over again. So for all those reasons, they really don't want to fire him. I've been around this a long time. I've been around enough teams where the AD kind of wouldn't mind firing the guy, where the AD kind of knows in his back of his mind he's going to have to fire the guy. They really don't want to fire. I'm telling you with all the passion in my heart, Hays, they really do. And I think because they want so badly not to fire him that he's going to win some ties. If they're 7-5 or 6-6, and some people want him out and some don't, he'll win the tie because of how badly they don't want to stop. I'm telling you, the last thing they want to do is start all over. I don't care if it's Jed Fish or Lane Kiffin or whoever. The last thing they want down there is to start over again. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. The Athletic Stuart Mandel updated his bowl projections. He has the Gators playing Oklahoma State in the Liberty Bowl, Florida State playing Kansas in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That's in Orlando in late December. He has LSU versus Virginia Tech here in the Gator Bowl. That would be two cool fan bases.
I'll take that one.
In terms of the playoff, he has Georgia as the 2 seed, getting the winner of Texas, Tennessee, and he's got the Canes as the 4 seed, getting the winner of Notre Dame, Memphis.
How about that? How about Memphis having to be in that thing? A,
yeah.
B.
Yeah.
But that's right. One of those teams are going to be in it. Just hearing that. How cool is it going to be? How good is that going to be when you actually have a legitimate tournament involving 12 college football teams?
It's going to
win an advanced tournament in college football.
It's going to be incredible. We'll get it to pop culture. The Running Man is being remade starring Glenn Powell. They will start production later this year. I'm actually okay with this remake. Technology and TV has changed since the Arnold Classic from 1987. So the concept, I think, could use a fresh look. By the way, the Crow remake, which I completely bashed last week, got destroyed at the box office this past weekend, as it should have, finishing in 8th place with a paltry $4.2 million in sales on a budget of $50 million.
Wow.
Bomb.
Boy.
Total bomb.
How about that? Can they stop remaking and maybe have some original good stuff?
Yeah,
with humans.
What do you think about The Running Man being remade? Did you saw the original, right?
I did.
I liked the original, but it was so celebrity and TV. And,
I liked the original. It wasn't a favorite.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother. I'm not offended that they're remaking it.
Right.
I didn't think it was so difficult of a concept that you couldn't redo it.
Right. And I think updating it, again, 30, what are we now, 30-something years later?
Yeah, the
I
world's
actually think
different.
they could do The Running Man, a remake with that pretty cool. So we'll see. Something to look forward to. I would assume that's going to come out in 2025 if they're starting production in November. We will get you out on this musical note because we've got another big-time anniversary to celebrate. Boston's debut album released this week in 1976. The album sold 17 million copies in the U.S. alone and is considered one of the greatest debut albums in rock and roll history. This is, of course, More Than a Feeling.
One of the greatest albums of all time. More Than a Feeling. Rock and Roll Band. Smokin'. Let Me Take You Home Tonight. Hitch a Ride. Long Time. All on the same album. All hits. All those 6, all big hits and all fantastic songs. You know it's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's one of the greatest rock albums of all time, and there's not even a debate. Well done. Back in a moment. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update, brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
New York Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge with 51 home runs on the season. He would need to reach 63 to break the American League record that he holds. He is minus 110 to achieve that feat. Judge to hit 65-plus home runs during the regular season is a plus 240. And to reach the milestone of 70, in which he would need 19, it's at plus 2,700. Judge is also in the race for the American League Triple Crown. He currently leads in home runs and RBIs. He's second behind Bobby Witt Jr. in batting average. He's plus 520 to win the crown. This update brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1010 XL.
Did it rain a lot this morning?
No, it was nice and sunny.
Well, the backyard's kind of swampy.
Huh, yeah. Especially where the septic tank is.
Oh, no. When was the last time we had our septic tank pumped?
Don't neglect your septic. Just call Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing and septic experts. DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. So how do you decide? With so many messages on air, I know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. When you've been injured in an accident, you need help from someone you know, someone you can trust. Harrell & Harrell, a name you know, a name you trust. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
Hey folks, if you're looking for an automobile, this summer happiness is a brand new Chevy. Like a new Chevy Silverado from Nimnick Chevrolet. This month, you can save up to $10,000 off a new Silverado. For well-qualified buyers, you can get rates as low as 1.9% financing on all new Silverado 1500 models. With the largest inventory on the ground, outstanding cash incentives, and the best price guarantee, your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick Chevrolet. Now remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar for your trade, and for a limited time, up to an additional $2,250 in trade assistance. What a great deal that is! And ask about our demo models for even deeper discounts. Shop online 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com or visit the dealership, conveniently located at the corner of Park and Cassett. Who's got more new Silverados at the best prices? Nobody but Nimnick.
Get this thing unwrapped here.
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, man. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Dailies Dash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Dailies Dash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Dailies Dash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Dailies Dash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Spend lunchtime with the ladies.
Hey, where's your sense of adventure?
They don't cook, but they serve up spicy sports talk.
Sure, it's on the menu.
Helmets and heels.
That is a meal.
Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Bands on 1010XL.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality product and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Lauren Brooks here. Circa Resort and Casino has an incredible all-in package for Duval in December. For only $500, tax and resort fee included, get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 food and beverage credit, plus a day bed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. Join us Heels Friday night for a Jacksonville pep rally with specials and giveaways. To book the Jacksonville game day getaway and join the Heels in Vegas, visit circalasvegas.com today.
Hurricane season on the First Coast can leave you in the dark, so why not get a head start on storm season with a home generator system from American Electrical? They've sold and installed more generators in Jacksonville than any other company around, with scores of whole home generator installations throughout North Florida. That's right, American Electrical has been installing and repairing thousands of generators for over a decade in Duval. Keep your loved ones and property protected. Log on to american-electrical.com and see how they can help you.
This is Corona Premier. Just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. It's a light beer that... Wait, this is a light beer? But we should really tell people about... Right, that's why I'm here. Sorry. Corona Premier, unexpectedly, light beer.
This is Dr. James Perry, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Hall of Fame left tackle Tony Baselli spoke with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser of the Drill yesterday to differentiate the playing styles of running backs Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne, even saying that he thinks Tank Bigsby is the better pure running back.
I think Tank Bigsby is the best runner of the running backs. Like, he's the best pure running back as far as carrying the ball between the tackles downhill, like getting those yards you have to get. And I think he brings a dynamic they did not have last year. I think Travis Etienne is the better football player. Great in the passing game. He's dynamic. He matchup issues.
The dynamic duo of Etienne and Bigsby will make the Jaguars' backfield more versatile than it was last year. I'm Max Fink with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Where have we been as we cool this thing down? We talked some Jaguar 53. You know by now that the 53 is out. Hays and I gave you our thoughts on it, what surprised us, what didn't. I guess maybe Christian Braswell and DJ Coleman a little bit. I thought they'd be on the defense, but at the bottom of the depth chart. Was not surprised. Tim Jones over Elijah Cooks. I expected that. Cole Van Lannon and Javon Foster made it. Blake Hant's a very good football player, I think. Did not make it. You have to cut some good players. They listed Armstead as an end along with Miles Cole as the backups to Trayvon and Josh Hines. Allen did not surprise me there. So I think maybe Braswell and Coleman the only thing they did. We talked about that. Dennis Dodd joined us from CBS Sports, our Woolsey Markham National College Football Report. Talked about the Knowles, talked about the expansion, Florida-Miami a bit. And we talked a lot of Florida-Miami. We reminisced to some games of years gone by between those two programs, and also talked a little bit about the significance of this program. So that is our cool down. That is where we have been. Have you seen that Rich Hill is still pitching?
Really?
Did you see that, JJ?
One of my favorites. I did not see it. I love a good crafty lefty.
So Rich Hill is 44, okay? He's still pitching for the Red Sox. His first appearance as a big leaguer was in relief of Greg Maddux.
Wow.
How about that, JJ? Do you know that?
Have you seen any of the clips from the Greg Maddux documentary that's coming out?
A little bit of it, yeah.
What channel is that on? I need to watch it immediately.
They got him interviewed for. Have you seen it?
I haven't. Well, maybe I saw something with him and Bonds.
Yeah.
So
that was a part of it, but there's been like 20 clips that have gone everywhere on like baseball Twitter, and I'm just like, I'm foaming at the mouth, ready to watch this.
I love his answer about Bonds. He goes, Bonds was the easiest guy in baseball to pitch to. You just walk him.
Yeah.
It was awesome. He said you just walk him. By the way, Barry Bonds went and went in the Pirates Hall of Fame. He and Jim Leyland last week over Saturday, which is, I mean, he's obviously one of the greatest Pirates players of all time. But he was asked about the throw, and he said, first of all, he said Cabrera was struck out the pitch before and they didn't call it. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember a bad call. I remember Jose Lean, the second baseman, making an error, but then Bond said, and listen, the throw was just a little bit offline. That and it hopped 38 times. It was a 38 hopper. It was the worst throw in the history. By the way, I did not realize this. He won like 3 Gold Gloves in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I don't remember him being a good outfielder. He was a left fielder. I really, he was a great hitter. No matter how much I joke about, he was a great, great hitter, and he would have been in the Hall of Fame without the steroids, which is a shame of him using the steroids. But I did not remember him winning 3 Gold Gloves.
I don't either.
So he was
But I mean, his body totally changed. When he played for the Pirates, what would you guess he weighed? 185?
Yeah, somewhere there. Yeah. That's what he looked like. He looked 6'1", 185.
Yeah.
Or what?
And then for the Giants, he was 245.
Yeah, but probably 225. But you're right, totally different.
I mean,
big head, the body. Yeah. So it's really a shame that the steroid era happened. It really is. Whether people say baseball because of home runs or not, it's a shame it happened because there are so many really good players that will A-Rod ever get in?
Well, that's why I think we need to just move beyond it now. They've been penalized enough, and I know some of these guys aren't even eligible anymore because it's expired. But I mean, we're putting Harold Baines into the Hall of Fame, people. I mean, we're putting Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame.
100%.
What are we doing?
100%.
I mean, this used to be the Hall of Fame. I'm a football guy, but the Baseball Hall of Fame has always been the one that, in my opinion, is the most prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to these guys have paid their debt. They need to be re-examined with a clean slate and just judge it off their on-field accomplishments.
The most obvious one that why in the world did he do it at the end is Clemens.
Right.
Clemens had a ridiculous Hall of Fame career before he did it.
Absolutely.
Roger Clemens is the greatest right-handed pitcher of my lifetime. And I'll stand by that forever. He's the greatest right. And by the way, I'm old enough for Bob Gibson. Okay, I'm old enough for Seaver. I'm old enough for obviously Nolan Ryan. And as great as Pedro was, and who was really good, the greatest right-hander of my lifetime was Roger Clemens, and he's not in. He just did it right at the end.
It was, like you want to keep at it. You want to stay at that elite level.
Right.
I mean, Clemens was like the number one competitor on the mound.
Correct.
I can definitely see why he he was oft injured too, like towards the end. So this was like to get back, I'm sure. And he didn't need to. You're right, but he probably gave himself an extra few seasons.
And he probably too, JJ. Here's my other thing too.
They're so competitive.
He probably and to that end, he probably saw guys that couldn't touch him, all of a sudden hitting home runs off him. And thinking, I can tell you,
like this guy's nothing. Right. I can't believe I'm letting guys like this hit off.
Well, what's the book about Bonds? The great book.
Juiced.
No,
that's the
one the two San Francisco
Shadows of
something. The two San Francisco writers wrote it. The great book.
Yeah,
and it's something about the Barry Bonds book.
Game of Shadows.
Game of Shadows. Okay, the great book. He says in there that the people that are close to him say he was tired of seeing McGuire and Sosa, who he was a way better player.
Exactly.
Hitting all these bombs because they were cheating. And he's like, are you kidding me? They're getting the attention, and I'm way better player than either one of them. That's what they said it's what fueled Bonds. Sosa. He said, how is Sammy Sosa on freaking SportsCenter every night, and I'm not? And then he found the cream in the clear. So goes the story anyway. So let's say hello to Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
We got a 53 below.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about Balco, though, one of my favorite books.
Yeah. That was
Cream in the Clear. Sheffield took it. Had no idea.
Yeah, right. But wasn't that the word on Bonds? Is that he got tired of seeing the attention McGuire and Sosa were getting when he was a way better player?
I mean, it's time. Just put these guys in.
Yeah,
Barry Bonds is the greatest player we've seen the last 40 years, for crying out loud.
No question.
Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, no question. I'm with you. And to me, you and I have had this talk 1,000 times. You don't quite agree with me because you probably take Pedro. But Roger Clemens is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest right-hander in my life.
Yeah, but he took himself out of Game 6 with a blister.
I know he did.
Pedro wouldn't have done that.
You told me.
You know who I think the modern-day Barry Bonds is? Miles Cole. Okay? Let's get him off the edge. Let's get him lathered up. Right here in Duval.
And what surprised you about the 53?
I am shocked by Christian Braswell.
That one's a little
He was my he would have been my we were talking about it on Friday, Hayes.
Yeah.
He would have been over Parker Washington because I had Parker Washington always on my 53. He would have been my surprise player of training camp this year over at the Miller Electric Center. So I am beyond surprised. I am shocked that he was cut.
Yeah, and Hayes said at one point he was listed as the number 1 nickel.
Yeah, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we put a lot of stock in that, but
yeah.
I mean, I think Jarian Jones not being able to compete on the outside, which surprised me because I thought he'd have a better camp. I think it just became, well, you've got Savage at nickel. You're not going to cut Jarian.
Nope.
And do you need a third nickel? I mean, I think that's what happened, but I was really surprised that Braswell didn't make it either.
So we got that. We got everything. You know, Trent Baalke, just spoke moments ago, so we'll have reaction from him. I think it's a good day. I think it's a very encouraging day for Jacksonville. I also think in 48 hours, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they add a couple of veterans out there.
Yeah, I would be surprised. This year would surprise me because I don't see a lot. Maybe an edge.
Maybe an offensive lineman.
Maybe an offensive lineman.
They can get better.
Those two spots, but we'll see.
That would be the two. All right, that's coming up.
Rick Blue coming up right now when he goes into the night. That'll do it for our program. Rick is next, so don't go anywhere. For Hayes and JJ, I'm Frank Frangie. See you tomorrow.